The theme is quite appropriate. Basically, if they say invest in women, it implies that something is not going right. That is the effort put in terms of resources and capacity building and the goal set where it's not being attained. And that is obvious because what is happening now is that we do have a gender gap. A gap that says, that reveals that men are doing better than women. And the government is not happy with the fact that there's that kind of gap, because women are also human beings. They are rightful citizens of the country. So we expect that the development of women as well as the development of men is what is needed to drive the development of the nation. So there is a gap, and what the government is calling on all sectors, cultural, political, social, and economic, to do more, to invest in ways that we improve and empower women to come to equality, you know, to give them equal opportunity in all of these sectors that I've named, to become productive. Not that they're not productive, to be more productive and achieve their God-given talents, just like men. You know, so there is a gap. We have several issues of discrimination, inequality, inadequate access to production resources. You have more women suffering from right abuse than men. So there are many gaps in all of these sectors, both in public and in the private sector. And then at the grassroots, within the household and the community. And they're calling on everybody to do what it takes to increase the investment. We are investing, but it's not enough. Basically, what we know is that a lot of times investments that goes into development of women, developing their capacity in all sectors, is much reduced. And they're saying that states and international investment that comes in for development in Cameroon, there is a huge gap, you know, and this is not just Cameroon, it's global. The funds invested in the education of women, political participation of women, women's activities, their agricultural activities, let's take our own, the care given, you know, there are 3 reproductive rights of women. We have production, we have reproduction, and we also have basically community-related work, which all goes to the development, not just of the community, but the nation at large. They're saying that there's a gap in how much is invested in this sector and how much women benefit from this sector. So if you look at industrialization in the country, how many women are in it? Do they have the capacity to be in industrial sector? You know, what investment goes? If you look at schools, how many women are in school? How many women are in the area of vocational and technical education? And if they are, even what kind of investment is in that? So unequal opportunity is a big issue, and we know that there are things that are particular to women, you know, in terms of health, in terms of marriage, in terms of positioning and making decisions in the community. And we are saying that women exist in numerical terms strong, but in substantive terms, they are not manifesting the way they should. they are not visual. And these have to do with discrimination, right abuse, inequality in access to resources, unequal opportunity. And so we need to increase that investment in all of these sectors, so that when we compare at the end of the day, this amount that is stipulated, 360, should be much, much higher. Unfortunately, it has to be in comparison to what is invested in men. You know that this investment in women, increased investment, also means not just creating new laws. We need to enact new laws where it's needed, but the existing laws are still not being applied. And we need to invest to ensure that our national laws, regional as well as international laws that we have ratified and we have accepted to apply, are implemented. To implement these laws, this legal framework, means that you must invest in the structure. All those in the pipeline of the legal framework must understand these Cameroon's obligation to the national, regional, and international. So we are talking of capacity building, we're talking sensitization, massive sensitization, we're talking about women owning this legal instrument, so that when there is discrimination and infringement, they know what to do. So some of these laws are stated in the penal code in Cameroon law, you know, and then you do have our regional obligations. For instance, we have signed and ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, okay? And we also have signed the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. We have also done the same with the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, on the rights of women in Africa. These are specific, and up till date, we really have not domesticated the Maputo Protocol. Let me take that, because it speaks to women's rights. And there's a lot of gap. These are gaps that have been identified between the universal human rights and the African context. And so it brings to light the really domestication of the universal human right within the Africa and within Cameroon. And by the Constitution, whenever we have ratified any legal instrument, it stands. So, but how many judges use it? How many women know and demand when the national laws are failing to meet the obligation? But in signing, Cameroon has an obligation. So we have, that's an area for massive training, okay? Promotion of the right all through. We're talking from the grassroots to the national, in public and private institutions, and, you know, across the board, so that justice is upheld when there's discrimination, gender-based violence, violation of women's rights. At the international level, we have the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, okay? And that's a 12 points, and it has critical areas that we must address. We are also talking about the convention. There are two important conventions we signed in 1966, and the Convention on Civil and Political Rights, as well as the Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. These are rights within these sectors which Cameroon has obligation to uphold. So the rights of women to be part of the decision-making process, to occupy top position within the government, to also participate actively in political association. You know, they are political entities and they are entitled to participate in the decision-making process. They also have, I mean, any cultural, like in Cameroon, any cultural norms that are repugnant to natural justice, it's not supposed to be upheld. But we still have FGM, you know, which is female genital mutilation. We have widows who are suffering. How can you face all this problem and you become developed? You know, so if we invest more in women, we must ensure that their rights are upheld so that investments are not destroyed. Because you can only get the maximum of governments and international investment on development of the people when the people can make good of those investments. But you cannot make good of your investment when your right is infringed, when you are looked as a minor and secondary in a society, where you don't have justice in the workplace, you don't have justice in terms of manage control of your body. You know, there's so many infringements. And you know, basically, if we need to invest in women, one area of investment is to ensure that the rights of women are upheld. Government needs to uphold its obligation to national, regional, and international instruments, legal instruments. So while some investment is in economics, we in the human rights, we are calling the right to justice, equal rights, the dignity of women as well as men, the dignity of right to life, the right to life, the right to work, the right to food, the right to equal opportunity, the right to identity, the right, you know, all of the universal rights plus the Maputo Protocol rights. I am saying that they should speak out. If your rights are violated, women and girls, please speak out. And I'm saying that those who are human rights defenders, like the Cameroon Human Rights Institution, should respond positively. And we are here to respond positively. And I'm telling them to take advantage and call the 1523 number. And if they can come here. And I'm just also saying that all human rights defenders should know that women's rights are human rights. And there is nothing, because the tendency is that they use tradition and justification, negative male masculinity to uphold injustice. You cannot be a human rights defender and you tread on the rights of women and girls. So we are calling on everybody at grassroots, at states, those in the legal justice department, those in the forces, armed forces, the police, everybody. The rights of women is one way for us, upholding that right is one way for us to ensure gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls in Cameroon. Thank you.